headlines. Welcome to Hot 97 News, a brand new live news show where we talk about all the hottest stories happening in the country. I'm your host, Lana Harris, here with Rondell with 2 N's and Million.
Yo.
And you know what? No matter what happens on this show, we are going to be prepared.
Say it again.
We was up with it.
Say
You
it
know
again.
what I mean?
Say it again.
That's how you roll with the punches.
Understand me?
Okay, so we are going to talk about the snow coming a little bit later in the show. So we're hoping you're here with us all 2 hours of this. I will say, if you want to join us on YouTube, we are live. You can hop in the comments. We will see your comments. Super duper C. We see you once again. Good morning to you. And we're going to hop into the news. Okay. So turning Gaza into the Riviera of the Middle East could actually be a thing soon. President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, has just unveiled the plans for what this is going to look like. And I just want to remind you guys what Gaza looked like before and what it looks like now. So we can start that off there. AP got video of the before and after of this, and it's really striking. As a reminder for you, there it is again on the left. That's what it looked like. That is what it looks like now.
That's crazy.
That is the Gaza Strip.
Wow.
So, what started all this, of course, was the attack on Israel. So Hamas terrorists were said to have gone into Israel and killed about 1,200 people. 251 people were taken hostage. And the leadership in Israel said, we are getting revenge. We're going after all of the Hamas terrorists. We're eradicating them. And they felt like, they want vengeance. That was their 9/11 moment. And they felt like they wanted to go in and just make sure this was never going to be a problem for Israel ever again. And so, as the war went on, which it lasted about 2 years, the numbers are kind of all over the place for how many Palestinians died in this conflict, but the Gaza Hamas-run health ministry reported about 72,000 Palestinians killed.
Yeah.
So, this was just, it was devastating. It's really devastating for the Palestinians. You've seen it online. Everybody's kind of been picking sides and, choosing just how they feel about it and who they felt was in the right. But now we're at the point where they're trying to figure out what it could turn into. And this is what Jared Kushner just said.
Peace is a different deal than a business deal. And we've developed ways to redevelop Gaza. Gaza, as President Trump's been saying, has amazing potential. And this is for the people of Gaza. We've developed it into zones. In the beginning, we were toying with the idea of saying, let's build a free zone, and then we have a Hamas zone. And then we said, you know what, let's just plan for catastrophic success. Hamas signed a deal to demilitarize. That is what we're going to enforce. Rafah will start with. This will show a lot.
So actually, I want to show you the picture of what he unveiled of what new Gaza is going to look like. He was at the World Economic Forum talking about this. And that's what they want to turn it into.
They trying to gentrify Gaza. That's crazy.
I mean,
they want to gentrify everything. God, dog, that's wild.
Beachfront property, tourism, resorts, lavish lifestyles, just on top of the destruction and, quite frankly, the death that happened there. You know what I mean? So that's why I kind of wanted to paint the story of the picture of what happened, because this is what, it's nice, but my gosh.
It's heartbreaking. When I seen this story earlier this morning and I was reading over it, I couldn't believe it. Because there's always been like theories out there that this is the big plan. This is how they're going to create new Gaza. And I was like, there's no way on God's green earth that they're going to be making this happen. And the fact that they did just broke my heart completely, bro. Broke my heart completely.
Now, here's the thing. Now, take some lessons, and this is gonna be a crazy analogy, but take some lessons from the Falcons. When we built that stadium over that church, we ain't never won since. So y'all just remember, y'all building over detrimental stuff, like y'all building over dead people and things like. Just know, karma does come. It might not come in the way that you want it to come, but it will come. I will guarantee that. Them folks will haunt you.
Yeah.
I mean, because pull the picture up again. We're talking about a Mediterranean coastline packed with glittering, glitzy buildings. I mean, this looks better than Atlanta.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
100%.
It looks better than a lot of U.S. cities that they're talking about here. So, that's kind of what we are talking about here. Trump has obviously been floating the idea of turning Gaza into the Riviera of the Middle East. Like you were saying, a lot of people thought, no way are they going to do that. There's a world where they just turned it into something where the Palestinians could just enjoy and, not even enjoy, but just live.
Right.
Because like you saw in the video of the before and after, some of these people are still living in tents.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They have nothing left. And sorry, continue.
Oh yeah, they don't have nothing left in the, like, mind you, this is implausible. They said they're going to make this thing happen in 3 years. Never has a society, has a country been built that fast in 3 years. But then they also are saying, oh, we're doing this for the Gaza people. We're going to be doing this to help the citizens. But it's like, are you replacing the government? What are you replacing the government with? Are you replacing the government with a new government? Are you going to keep Hamas in there? And then also they're like, yeah, we're going to give them jobs. It just sounds like slavery to me. Because it's like you're going to give jobs after you just bombed and took over this land, and then you're going to give them jobs?
Actually, we can show you a bit of that plan, too. Can you pull up the photo? It's about the job training. We got a couple of photos to show you. So this is it. Empowering Gazans with jobs, training, and services. And they're saying, yeah, they can get into construction. Obviously, somebody's going to have to get into construction. Somebody's going to have to get into agriculture, manufacturing. I mean, it's even more striking when you look at the bottom left to me. The average annual household income, if everything goes to plan in 10 years, $13,000.
That's slavery.
Yeah.
That sounds like slavery to me because, again, it's not America doing this. It's the peace board. Peace board
Board
that's
of
doing
Peace.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they don't have to even operate under American rules. They don't have to do minimum wage. They could do whatever they want to these citizens. And the citizens are supposed to just abide by it.
If they're even allowed to stay. I mean, there was a whole conversation about where they're going to go. Surely they're not going to let the Palestinian people live and be in these high, ritzy buildings. Surely they couldn't afford it with $13,000 annual household income. That is more than previously, I will say. Like, that would be a big bump for them. But when you talk about all these new developments that are coming to the area, is $13,000 going to be enough for them to enjoy it? You know, are they going to be subsidizing their houses, their transportation? Like, how do they see them going forward when a lot of people lost everything and are starting from scratch? So, you know, a lot of people have questions about what that is going to look like. We can also show you a new picture of Rafah, which is also in the area. And this is kind of what they're thinking: permanent housing units, education centers, religious and vocational centers, medical facilities. I mean, this is what their plan is for this area.
So so the picture before was like the luxury side of it, and this is where they're planning on moving all the poor people, or
that I don't know.
Okay, because
there are just different parts of the strip.
Okay,
so there's
got you.
different like cities.
Okay, I got you.
You know what I mean?
Well, this looks like they moving the poor people. I mean, it looks like a project essentially, bro. It looks like, hey, we're gonna build these nice things over here, and then we're gonna build this project for y'all. This is what it looks like to me. I could be wrong.
It was already congested. Actually, can you pull up the before and after picture video again? It was already congested. You know what I mean? There were I think 2 million people living in a very small area as it was. But, you know, how do you account for all of that? I mean, you do have to account for the fact that they did lose anywhere from 50 to 72,000 people, but that is only really a small fraction of the millions of people who were there. So I don't know where all they've gone, but they got to rebuild and do something. It wasn't even like a bad looking area when you really look at what it was. Not this is after.
This is after.
Yeah, this is before it was populated. But
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but you make a good point. And so like you see them with the projects, right? People claim that they're going to do all these good things, and they claim they're going to build the Rafah and make it look nice and everything like that. But what happens when things fall? Like I said, no society has ever been built or rebuilt after no infrastructure like this big has ever been built in history in 3 years that fast. So the fact is, what I'm getting at is it's a project, and what happens when the project fails? Are you going to put more money in to keep it on going with the project, or would they eventually just abandon it? And that's what I see with a lot of places. Like, they might abandon this project and then leave them in an even more worse state too.
So the Board of Peace is estimating that this plan is going to require more than $25 billion to do. And like you're saying, Jared Kushner estimated that this was going to take 2 to 3 years, which he says they have the capability of doing that. I also don't know how they're going to pull that off, but that's what he said. And they also have tons and tons of rubble. They're saying that could be anywhere between 50 to 68 million tons of rubble to remove, and that itself could take like 7 years.
Right.
Some estimates are saying. So then you'd have to tack on the 2 to 3 years they think that they're going to have to build this. So this is a long-term type of project, and it's going to require investors. Who all is going to be willing to invest when they're really not even sure if there's going to still be a conflict over there?
Right.
They're still killing people in that area right
Mm-hmm.
now. Like there have been, I think, 3 or like a handful, honestly, comparatively, of Israeli soldiers or Israelis in general who've died since the ceasefire. I think there's been upwards of 400 people who've died in the Palestinian side since the ceasefire.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, just this week, there were an Israeli military strike on who they say were people who were affiliated with Hamas, but they were children. A couple children and a couple journalists died this week because of just, the situation still being hot out there. So, that's something they'll have to take into account. But I also thought it was very strange what Jared Kushner said about potentially separating it into a Hamas zone. Can you actually replay what Jared Kushner said?
Peace is a different deal than a business deal. And we've developed ways to redevelop Gaza. Gaza, as President Trump's been saying, has amazing potential. And this is for the people of Gaza. We've developed it into zones. In the beginning, we were toying with the idea of saying, let's build a free zone, and then we have a Hamas zone. And then we said, you know what? Let's just plan for catastrophic success. Hamas signed a deal to demilitarize. That is what we're going to enforce. Rafah will start with. This will show a lot.
So a free zone and a Hamas zone is what they were first kind of toying with. And that doesn't really make sense to me because Hamas were said to be terrorists. We did all of this in the name of eliminating Hamas, of making sure Hamas just never exists ever again. Israel actually even dropped an airstrike in Qatar, which is a U.S. ally, going after Hamas. That's something that happened last year. You can go down that rabbit hole if you'd like. But the whole point is we've done all of this. And there was a version of this plan where they were still in charge of one of the zones. So I looked it up and I was wondering just how the world considers Hamas. And this is not to, excuse literally anything they've done because we've seen obvious terrorism happen from this group, started the war, but not all countries classify Hamas as terrorists. Some countries actually work with Hamas. It is their leadership structure. It's their version of their government. So while we classify them as terrorists, other countries work with these people. And that's why I think it made more sense that he was saying there could have been a Hamas-run side. Right. So he was saying that it would have been run by the terrorists, but that's just what they would be doing as their leadership.
Yeah, is one of the instances like you all always say all the time, choose your propaganda, because you don't necessarily, we don't know if Hamas was actually there, and they could say that they were terrorists, right? But then also it could have been that they were just protecting their country. It's choose whoever's side you want, but at the end of the day, if they were so bad, why are you doing work with them? And then also you demilitarize them. That's so wild to me. So now they can't even protect themselves if they need to.
The U.S. and Israel would probably say, "You've done all this. What happened because of you guys, Hamas and the terrorist attack on Israel. So if you want to go forward in peace, you got to give up your guns. You got to demilitarize. You got to make sure that you're not in power to do something like this again. That's the only way we move forward here." That was what they agreed to make this whole thing come down to an end, because a lot of people were wondering, where does this end at this point when you're seeing all these thousands of Palestinians die? They got nothing to do with it. They're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. They were born there. That's where they're from. That's who they are. And a lot of them lost their lives for it. But again, on the Israeli side, they're trying to go after Hamas, and they just felt like they had no other choice. So it's a situation. That's a situation.
You take their guns away from them, and then you put them in a corner. And then you tell them hey, just be cool with it. Because again, this project, $25 billion, I've never heard of it ever been done on $25 billion, done in 3 years. They still have a whole bunch of water that they have to take care of. A lot of the water got damaged through the bombings and things like that also. So I'm sure it's going to be a lot of money put into this, a lot more money that's needed to be put into this. And the fact that I just highly doubt you're going to take care of that Hamas state or Hamas corner you want to put them in.
That's actually what one of the things they were talking about noted. Basically, if there was a Hamas side, that side probably would not be getting any kind of resource, any kind of help, any kind of anything. And anybody who chose to stay in the Hamas side would probably be,
right,
effed, for a lack of a better word right now. And so that's what Jared Kushner was saying. We're deciding to go for just best case scenario. There's no Hamas run side. We're all going to be just going forward with this plan as we've written it in the ceasefire and in the peace deal. This board of peace is supposed to be facilitating that. Israel's on the board of peace. A lot of Middle Eastern countries are on the board of peace. So we'll see what happens. But it's just, it's a sad situation in general.
Congrats to King Trump. He did it.
Right.
He did it.
You know what? Remember when he posted that video of like a golden statue of him in the Riviera of Gaza and everybody thought it was a joke?
Congrats to him. Oh my goodness.
Well, another thing that Trump has managed to do, he said he was going to do and he's done it. We are no longer in the World Health Organization. U.S. just threw up the deuces and said we're out. And this was a whole year-long process because that's just how it works. When you want to get yourself out of the World Health Organization, you got to say it and then wait a year and then you can do it. And so this ends nearly 78 years of U.S. membership. And basically Trump was saying he feels like we're wasting a lot of money and the World Health Organization kind of screwed everybody over on COVID. So why are we paying all this money? So we're out.
That's very true. But for the people that don't really understand, like myself, I didn't really understand what was going on. I had to do my own research, and I'm going to help the people like me out there fully understand what's going on. I'm going to break it down in very, very simple terms. So, okay, imagine the World Health Organization is like a really big clubhouse, okay, where almost every country in the world gets together to talk about how to keep people healthy and stop big sicknesses, like when COVID hit. All right, the United States was one of the biggest kids in that clubhouse. It gave a lot of money, like bringing the snacks and toys, and help make the rules, all right? But some grown-ups in the U.S., including President Trump, said, hey, wait a minute, during the sickness, COVID, this clubhouse listened too much to other countries, like China, and didn't tell everyone the truth fast enough. They also didn't fix problems when we asked, so we're not playing anymore.
Good job.
Was that good?
It's good.
Wait, did I
good.
explain it right though?
I mean, it's pretty, it's pretty accurate.
I did it.
Yeah. Good job.
Thanks.
Look at that.
I did it.
You want to switch chairs? Let's just switch chairs.
I finally understand.
No, yeah, exactly. He was literally saying that because of what happened with COVID, you guys didn't give us the information in time. You guys were given health advice that just had all of us all over the place. Maybe if you guys did better at your job, we would have been in a better circumstance as just the world dealing with COVID. Yes, they accused them of listening too much to China and that China wasn't telling the truth. So for all those reasons, they said, we're up out of here and we are not paying the rest of the money that you're due. Because that's another thing you're supposed to do when you leave. And the U.S. owes like $278 million for the 2024 to 2025 period. And the State Department was like, yeah, no, we're not going to be making any payments before our withdrawal because the cost borne by the U.S. taxpayer and the U.S. economy after the WHO's failure during the COVID pandemic and since has been too high as it is.
That's crazy. That's absolutely insane, bro.
Yeah.
You ain't lying.
So what does this mean that we like when we leave? So do we have to like? So this I didn't do. So when we leave them, do we just make our own rules when it comes to like the health? Like if the CDC says that another COVID hits, like now we're responsible for like figuring it out and stuff like that. Or?
I did look up the ramifications, and it says less global disease coordination. So yes, obviously, the U.S. is not going to be coordinating with the rest of these countries that are involved with. When you're talking about outbreaks and pandemics and whatnot, reduce influence, no more seat at the table when it comes to international health policies and standards, slower information. Obviously, if we're not there with the WHO and they're putting out information, we're not going to get it as fast. And it says impact on poor countries as well. U.S. funding supported vaccination programs, disease tracking, and emergency responses worldwide would be impacted. And health threats abroad can spread quickly is a potential ramification. Less coordination increases vulnerability at home. We'll see what happens. Obviously, the World Health Organization, to Trump's point, this is the moment. We need you to be on your P's and Q's. We're paying a lot of money for this, and you fumbled at the exact moment that we needed you the most. So is there a better way to do this? I don't know. Is this going to be terrible for the U.S.? I don't know. We're going to find out.
We'll find out.
Facts.
We're going to find out. Okay. Also here at home, J.D. Vance, our vice president, just visited Minnesota because he is trying to kind of tone the temperature down over there because we've all seen Minnesota popping off. And he basically said he feels like local officials have got to be working with ICE and DHS more, and it can't just be so just hot between them all the time. And he actually, during that talk, said that he had met with local officials. He had done this whole round table, closed door meeting with everybody to really get a handle on what was going on there. And in the public press conference about that, he described one situation that an ICE agent found him or herself in Minnesota.
You know, that within the last, I think, week or so, maybe even more recently than that, you had a couple of ICE officers who were off duty, who had been doxxed online, who were sitting and having a meal at a restaurant in Minneapolis when a bunch of agitators showed up, locked the door, made them feel like they were in danger for their lives. And then, of course, it was federal law enforcement officers who had to come up, lower the temperature on the situation, and actually get those two off-duty officers to a point of safety.
Excuse me, there were two of them. So, you know, that's a good point. You know, we are going to air these situations that these illegal immigrants and U.S. citizens have been finding themselves in. So I thought it was only fair to air the situations that ICE agents are going through as well. At the same time, you know, when we're seeing all this stuff. What are you thinking?
JD Vance tried to come in there like, you know how your grandma and you and your cousins be arguing, and then your grandma got to sit both of y'all down and be like, look, all right, let's talk. Y'all ain't. This is what JD Vance trying to do. Like, let's everybody come talk. Let's get this situated. JD, you can't fix this right now, brother. You can't fix it. You can't fix this right now, dog. Like, you can't fix this right now.
Not by just saying a sad story, because we're also seeing sad stories on the other side.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like yesterday when we talk about ICE agents going to eat at a Mexican restaurant and then arresting the owners, or going and taking a kid and using it as bait to go get other people. It's a lot of weird stuff going on over there.
It's definitely unfortunate. I kind of feel for the officers because, again, they're just doing their job.
For sure.
But at the same time, it's like the way you guys are conducting, the way that you guys are actually doing your job is the main concern. Nobody's saying don't do your job, but the way you're doing it is just wild. Well, there are people saying don't do your job, actually.
There are, yeah.
Think about it. But again, the way you're doing it, though, is crazy.
But that is what I felt like was valid about what JD Vance said, because I've been saying as well from the beginning that I'm blaming the Democrats as well for a piece of this, because they are riling people up. They are helping stoke the flames. Like, there is crazy stuff happening, and these leaders are kind of doing their best to make sure people are pissed about it. Case in point, the mayor there spoke in front of lawmakers, and this is what he said.
This is not about safety. This is not about immigration. This is about sowing chaos on the streets of Minneapolis. This is about political retribution.
So, you know, we all know that Trump has been saying we're getting the illegal immigrants out of here. Nobody could have predicted that this is how they were going to do it, but that is what this is about. So I feel like to sit there and say this is political retribution and everybody should be upset that he's just doing this to you guys, that's going to make people mad. That's going to get people out there protesting and antagonizing ICE more. Who wants to be the adult in the room and simmer this stuff down? Like, for real.
Yeah, but I kind of appreciate how he's doing it. You know, if you're as a lawmaker, I just want you to stick to your guns, stick to your people. He sees that his people is being hurt right now. So he needs to be there, and he needs to say the things for the people. This is how the people was feeling, at least. They think that what Minnesota is doing, what Trump is doing, well, they think what Trump is doing is a political hit. But the reality is, y'all, we got to get some of these illegal immigrants out of here. Sorry to say.
And I know everybody has different opinions.
Look. Me and Lana both said, okay.
I'm just saying, though, you got to come on now. It's not, everything's not political. Even though you may think it is, everything is not political.
Where I agree is that if there are illegal immigrant criminals here, sure, by all means, you know, hog time, get them out of here, whatever. But like, to do it like this, where you sweeping up kids and you're sweeping up U.S. citizens and you're antagonizing real officers who are off duty who just look Hispanic or whatever minority they look like, there's a way to do this. It's not real. That. You know what I mean? And that's where I feel like they're being very irresponsible. And I do appreciate Jacob Frey, the mayor there, for kind of calling it out. I just wish I guess conversation was call your senator, call your lawmakers, like do not let their phones stop ringing until they listen to you versus go out in the streets and, you know, follow ICE around, because it's not getting us anywhere. Yeah.
True.
Well, we have so much more coming at you. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to Hot 97 News. Okay, real quick, want to talk about the comment section because we do see you guys popping off in there.
For sure.
Can you actually scroll up just a little bit so we can see Lana and crew? Good job breaking things down. Good job, Rondell. That would be the first one that you see.
Good job,
Dale. Good job.
With your explanation.
Yeah. First of all, I don't want the participation. Okay, I did my thing with that. Okay.
America actually wakes up and chooses to F with people. Said he always looks like he's a guidance counselor trying to calm down a class of black kids. Are you talking about JD Vance?
Yes.
Dang, that's crazy.
That's not funny. That's not funny.
That's hilarious, actually. That's
kinda
hilarious.
funny.
Good job.
Are any of these grown-ups going to say none of this has to be happening right now? Talking about with just like what we're seeing with ICE, facts. Literally none of this has to go down like this.
Facts.
Does not have to happen like this at all. Okay, so to tell you, you said not Popeyes, a little bit of a typo there. Famous Mo, ask these guys why are they so fixated on perfect crime? They love calling crimes genius. Actually, hold that thought for the Atlanta section.
Oh, man.
Hold that. Do you want to respond right now?
Oh, no. We actually got something for that, actually. But with Famous Mo, we got something for that.
Crime is genius because it's an art also.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it is. Creativity.
It's an art also.
I'm right there with you, Famous. But what is that? What are we trying to do here? We trying to encourage this?
No,
This
we're not
is crazy.
encouraging it, but, you know.
Okay. Back into the news. Where are the rest of the Epstein files? Is literally anybody going to jail?
Look, bruh, I'm not going to lie, bruh. At this point, the government has spent more time trying to protect the Epstein files than protecting the actual border. That's where I'm at with it, bruh. Because how have we not gotten these Epstein files? At this point, I'm over it. I'm over it. And Lana, you told me, you were like, that's what they want you to do.
What they're waiting
That's
for.
what you want you to do. And you know what? I'm almost there. I'm almost at the point where I'm giving up. And I always say this, what's the saying? The truth will set you free.
Yeah.
Is that what?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think the truth will set these people free. I think these truth will actually put these people in prison. So I get why the Epstein files are still not out there yet.
It just seems like people are openly not complying. We have Bill and Hillary Clinton who are now being held in contempt of court. They could go to jail.
Yeah.
Maybe not, probably not, but technically they could because they just said, yeah, we're not showing up with a subpoena that we're supposed to come in and testify. And the DOJ has only released 1% of the files. 99% of the files are still behind closed doors.
Now to the DOJ's defense,
All right.
you know I got to give some pushback.
Okay, what are you doing with this? Is this what I'm saying?
I'm not saying I'm defending them. I'm not saying I'm defending them at all. I'm just telling you what the DOJ at least claims is, y'all, they got over 1 million documents that they are having to go through because of because of the Transparency Act. They still have to keep out certain things from it, which is like ongoing investigations, others big names in there. So it's like they're saying we have to go through all this. 2 million documents is not easy to go through.
So where are the ones they have gone through so far? Like, why don't we just keep, after that first dump of 12,000 documents, I haven't seen just really anything else get dropped. And they have been going through it, they claim.
So I just looked this up. Total pages exact. The page account is 5.2 million documents, and that isn't finalized. So roughly, the total document count would be roughly 52,000 documents if only 1% has been released.
Yeah.
And that's less than,
Bruh.
because they've done 12,000 documents. And that's why we brought up those pictures. Can we bring up those pictures again? Because it seems to me like they just kind of dropped a couple of splashy details, a couple of splashy photos and thought, okay, this is good enough. Everybody will just kind of forget about this because we've given them kind of really nothing.
Is that Chris Tucker?
That is Chris Tucker.
God! They done got my dog Chris.
That's why I can't say that.
They got my dog
But
Chris.
he did go away for a couple of years and, found Christ. So I don't know what he saw, what he's been through. But, I wish him the best because, Chris Tucker, he's a national black hero.
Yeah, man.
It's unfortunate, man.
But it's gotten to the point where now a judge is saying that those lawmakers who were behind the law to force the DOJ to drop all the Epstein files can now sue the DOJ to try to get them to quickly drop the Epstein files because of how slow this is going. The victims feel like y'all are clearly playing in our face at this point. We thought that this was finally going to be the chance where we see all these bad people go down, and now nothing is coming to light like we thought. It takes a lot for these victims to get on camera and say, this is what happened to me. I am not going to be afraid of all these powerful people who are accused of doing all these things. I'm going to stand here and try to expose it all just for literally nothing to happen. I mean, it's really kind of a spit in the face. And so, like you said, the DOJ said that the holdup is about protecting victims. It's about making sure all their names are redacted. The problem with that is, in the drop that we already got, they did accidentally reveal some victims' information. So y'all clearly weren't all that concerned before. People were noting that certain pictures of Trump disappeared from the files one day, and then they were back, a couple days later. They've been doing weird stuff about this. And that's why I at least hope that we can get to a place where we acknowledge it wasn't just the Democrats. It's clearly all of them. All of them are doing something, because this is just weird at this point. Who are we protecting?
I mean, okay, like I said, I just want to give a full perspective here. Let's say they do just say, bump it. We're not going to go through anything. We just going to release the files. We're going to drop it, all 2 million files right then and there. Again, the Transparency Act said that you can drop the files, but you cannot include ongoing investigations. If the DOJ then drops these files and then they get sued because they didn't keep out certain information, that could be millions of dollars that's costing the DOJ. So that it's like a give and take here. And if anybody is to blame, honestly, I blame Congress, because they had the ability to include a strong enforcement mechanism when they made this law, but they chose not to. So they did not enforce, they said that, hey, DOJ, drop the files, but they didn't put in any repercussions if they didn't drop the files, if they didn't have a deadline. That's Congress's fault.
I get that. That's a fair point. But at the same time, they barely got through the law as it was. They needed every single signature that forced that vote on that, the law even becoming a thing anyway. And from what I've seen, there was a lawmaker that was talking to Todd Blanche, I want to say, the Deputy Attorney General, who allegedly told her the DOJ has already reviewed more than 5 million files. So if you guys are still reviewing files and you've got big chunks, why not just release the chunks as you review them and let them go? What are we talking about here? I don't know. I guess this same representative, which is Representative Luna, she's saying that Todd Blanche is now willing to brief Democrats directly because really they're getting pressure from both sides, both parties, over these missed deadlines. They were supposed to have dropped all the files by December 19th. Here we are at the end of January, and we got less than 1%. That's crazy. So nobody cares about complying with the law. What does that say to you and me? Why do we have to follow the law when the rest of these people clearly just do whatever they want?
I don't.
And that's why they cheer for crime.
Oh man, yeah. When you start actually looking at the complexities of law, you start seeing that there's a process that slows things down in general. The processes are there just to slow things down, but it's also there to have precision. I still think, 2 million documents is crazy. Even for the DOJ, I understand it's a big organization, but that's 2 million documents. You said they did already go through 5 million of the documents.
That's the claim. That's what's been reported.
But they have to redact certain things. I want the files released just as much as anybody else. 100%. It's just I'm trying to be fair here and give them some sort of credibility.
If you say this is the deadline for literally anything, we got to be in this seat so we can be on at 10 o'clock a.m.
We ain't got no choice.
We don't have a choice.
Ain't no choice.
What do you mean I'm, as a lawmaker, saying you have to drop this file by this date, all these files, and do what you got to do to get it done, and oops, we just did 1%. Not even half.
Not even half.
Not even 3%.
Right.
You know what I mean? That means y'all are who are we protecting here? It shouldn't take that long.
Again, I blame Congress, though, because they could have put some repercussions in there. They could have put some consequences in there if they didn't comply. That's on them.
All right. Well, moving on to talk about TikTok. Did you guys sign in to your TikTok and get a little notification?
I just did, yeah.
Yeah, they basically are telling you that the terms and conditions and the privacy policy has changed because they have finally sold it to a U.S. business.
Which is great, because maybe they can get rid of all the dancing on TikTok. I'm over it. I'm over it, bruh. I'm over it, man. I've been trying to get famous on TikTok for years, bruh. I've done did all the trendy dances. I'm over it. So hopefully now that they done changed the terms and policies, maybe, what I'm doing works. You know what I'm saying?
I guess.
What I'm doing works. Who knows?
Man, there was a time when TikTok, you could say anything on there.
Yes.
You would go to TikTok for like news. The dances, yeah, for sure. But also you could say like whatever you wanted. Now, boy, it is so censored.
Oh yeah, it's strict. It's strict over there. Oh yeah,
It
it's
is
strict.
so freaking censored.
It's
And I
strict
think,
over there.
you know, of course they said that they did that for national security. They didn't want a Chinese company to have all this information and data on Americans. They said that, you know, even though the company was saying we don't give this data to the government, the U.S. said there's no way for us to know that. So we don't believe you. So if you want to operate in the U.S., you're going to have a U.S. company basically own the app so that we have control of the data and it's not going into our adversaries' hands. But, you know, I guess that's one reason. Other people literally think that they wanted to have control of the information.
What, the Chinese?
That
Or
the
Chinese?
U.S.
Oh, the US.
wanted to have control over the information because before you could say anything you wanted because
True.
they didn't have to abide by any like rules from the U.S. I mean, it was just, you could say whatever you wanted. And now you really can't.
Here's the thing. Are y'all going to read the terms and policies just to like fully understand what we can and can't say? We don't. Who really reads that? Let's be honest. Have y'all ever read any terms and policies of anything?
No,
I don't want to admit that on TV. Yes, I read everything.
No, we don't. Okay. So, but I'm definitely going to read these though, because I kind of want to see what it is that, cause dude, I get a strike for everything I say now on TikTok. Everything I say. I can't say no type of nothing, even in the comments. If I comment on somebody's thing, it's getting taken down. So now I kind of want to read on what I can and can't say, and maybe it'll help me out go further on TikTok. I don't know. But yeah.
But also, why is that? And who gets to decide, like, what gets to be taken down and what news you're allowed to see and what words you're allowed to see? Like, who gets to sit there and decide? Because like we talked about with Section 230, that means that these social media companies aren't liable, like, criminally, legally at all for what people say on their websites and their platforms. That's a whole thing. They are not criminally held responsible or held responsible at all for anything anybody says. So why are you censoring people then? What would be the point other than to control what is being said, and in which case, who gets to decide the information?
Yeah, there was a dude on
crazy.
There was a dude on TikTok. I don't know if you guys ever saw this, but a guy, he was making gas out of plastic. Did you guys ever see this?
No.
So he was making gas out of plastic, and he was using his TikTok platform to like show people how he did it and all this. So he went missing.
What?
Went missing at one point.
This is not a real story.
It's a real story.
Look,
He was making gas out of plastic and went missing. And then, but he ended up coming back. But he ended up also telling people like, "Bruh, there were definitely people like looking for me, like FBI's and all this. Definitely people looking for me." But he put all this out on TikTok. TikTok kept censoring in his videos,
What?
kept taking him down. He would repost them, kept doing this, kept doing that. And now it goes to show, like, hey, bruh, you can't show people this, bruh. Like, you can't tell people that you can make gas out of plastic. Like, dog, yeah, it's a real story. Yeah, I know you want to say it's not, but it is.
Well, I mean,
know you
it's
wanna
just
say it's
it's
not, but it
sketchy.
is.
No, I'm just saying it's sketchy because I mean, he's right here doing
Yeah,
interviews.
I
I've
know.
seen him in November.
I just said he got back.
Right.
Yeah, he was back.
Right. His name is Julian Brown. He's 21 years old, and he's from Atlanta, Georgia.
Huh.
Y'all, I ain't gonna lie. A kid saying that he created gas at 21 years old is kind of crazy, man. And if you're saying that you're creating gas and you're spreading misinformation, that is the issue. Because then you're saying, hey, this is how I made gas. I'm not saying that that's what
Yeah.
he did, but hey, this is how you can make gas and all this. Y'all, misinformation is huge in America. That is the plight. China, it's possible that China did allow so much things to go on, like misinformation, just to confuse the masses in general.
there is still misinformation on the internet
Yeah.
right now. So who gets to decide which misinformation gets to stay
Exactly.
here?
My only thing is there's kids on TikTok.
They're still seeing
children.
misinformation right now.
Now, that's why I think that the FCC should actually get involved because we operate on a FCC. We're on TV. We have certain limitations on things we can say, and we have to make sure that we're actually accurate with things that we put out there. Otherwise, we may be subject to fines. Misinformation is huge in America, and I don't want the kids to be taking all this misinformation in also.
Yeah.
That is probably where this is headed because
Yeah.
the social media is like the wild, wild west right now. And the whole point of not making social media companies liable for what people posted was so that they could grow without being afraid of like, oh my God, I got to watch everything. I'm going to get sued. It was so that the internet and social media could just grow and expand and be literally what it is right now without them having to worry again about any kind of repercussions. So the fact that they are still censoring things when they don't have any fear of repercussions means there is still misinformation, but some misinformation they are allowing. Other misinformation they are not allowing. Some true information they are allowing. Some true information they are not allowing. Right. Who gets to decide, and why do they get to decide what literally everybody can say? That's crazy.
As long as it's not dangerous, because again, there's reasons why we have like Alex Jones situations where Alex Jones said something about a particular incident, and now he had a lawsuit for $1 billion because it was what he said was hurtful to people. Y'all, the internet is a dangerous place. You could put out your narratives out there and people can believe you if you're compelling enough. And people can believe your lies and people can believe your truth. But truth is always subjective in general.
That's not like the platform did not get sued.
Yeah.
Alex Jones got sued.
Yeah.
Right.
So everybody should be liable for what they say on it. These platforms are deciding what people can and can't say, even though they aren't going to be held liable.
Right. We shouldn't even have had. There's no reason why Alex Jones should have been able to get that far, though. That's what I'm saying. If anything, it should be protecting the creators, because now it's like, look, if you say things like this, if you say it like this, if you can even spew your own information out there, as long as you're saying it in the correct way. You have to say it's allegations. I'm alleging. I'm saying that this is it's like certain rules that is okay to follow as a creator. We do it all the time.
But it like worked out, and what you're saying, it did work. I said something crazy and now I'm getting fined. Like, it didn't apply to the platform. The platform didn't have any repercussion.
But again, we're on TV. Well, we're gonna be on Monday, but we're on TV, so we can say what we want in the correct manner. There's certain ways that we can.
I think you're missing her point.
But yes, it's a platform that's still there, though. It's the TV, the network we're on is still the platform, and they're telling us, hey, you cannot say these certain things because of these rules and regulations.
But she's saying the platform should be
held liable.
Yeah.
If the platform is going, okay, so if we say something crazy and we get sued, the company's getting sued and we're probably going to get fired.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it works, because it's a reflection of the company. The platforms in this sense are the company, but they're not getting held liable to them, but they're still censoring people. And like you said, Alex Jones said what he said and he got fined like $1 billion. The company didn't. So why are these companies not held liable and censoring, and who gets to decide what's censored?
Yeah.
You don't get held liable, so what do you care?
So you just want the social media companies to be held liable too.
Yes.
That, or you can't do both. You can't decide
both,
what information is allowed, because who made you the arbiter of truth as the platform? You know what I mean? How do you get to decide what's true? You don't know.
Because what you're saying might be a lie,
It could be a lie. You have no freaking clue.
Why are you censoring what I'm saying? What I'm saying might be the actual truth, and what you're trying to censor is probably being detrimental and not helping. It's probably counterproductive if you ask me. But
and if I'm wrong, like Alex Jones found out, I can get sued for $1 billion potentially. Like, people should be held liable for what they say. But you can't like censor. And I mean, I don't know. We've been on this too long. we gotta dip out. These people are really wilding at the self-checkout counters these days.
Well, do y'all use self-checkout?
1,000%
Before I get into this story, do y'all use self-checkout?
Almost exclusively.
Do y'all steal from self-checkout?
No.
Never.
Okay. Well,
do you steal from the self-checkout?
Hey, man, this has nothing to do with me. So look, the self-checkout theft is surging. I could have imagined you put self-checkout. Why wouldn't it be? Approximately 27% of Americans admit to intentionally stealing at least one item out of self-checkout, up from just 15% in 2023. I'm a part of the 23%. I ain't gonna lie. Accidental and intentional beyond purposeful theft, 33% of respondents admitted to accidentally walking away with merchandise. Notable 61% of those who took an item by mistake said they kept it and they didn't bring it back, which is still stealing. By the way. You didn't do a good job by keeping it. Younger generations are most likely to skip scans, with 41% of millennials and 37% of Gen Z admitting to intentionally stealing. All right. Now, this has had a setback with the financial department because a lot of these people are losing billions of dollars. But my thing is this. Man. 23% of Americans are saying like, oh, like, yeah, we're stealing. And then what is the other 73% doing? Lying. All right. Yeah, that's what y'all are doing. Y'all are lying because everybody steals from self-checkout. I don't care what you say, Lana and Million. Y'all have stolen from self-checkout on accident. On accident. We all have.
No.
We all have.
No.
I literally can't think of a time where I even accidentally like what, because I would like the guilt would eat me alive. I'm not that guy.
gosh.
I'm really not.
How do you accidentally steal from self-checkout? You accidentally threw the thing in the bag? You just accidentally put it in the bag and you walked out?
If you're scanning all your items and then you just so happen to not scan this one it's literally on accident. I've done it before and I've also done it intentionally. But it's also been hard. But it's been hard times when I've done it intentionally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And here's the thing. And if you don't judge me. If there's a self-checkout, hire more cashiers. Because here's the thing. If I'm scanning my items out myself, I'm technically working. And what do they do with employees? They pay them. And what am I getting? This is me paying for me working. I'm taking my groceries. I just paid. I just worked. And you got me working on my day off. I ain't even supposed to be here. I'm not even scheduled to be on the clock.
Overtime.
Yeah, and y'all got me working. So, of course, I'm going to take a little payment on the side.
Man, you know what? Now that I think about it, I was with someone who like stole in front. I felt so bad, but we were buying avocados, and it was him who was buying. It was years ago. He he scanned one and then just kept don't. But the avocados were like $2.50.
Yeah,
and each. And we needed 10.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like,
I
I watched him do it, but I was just like, but we're saving so much money as a group.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, man, no, it really is usually people who are on hard times.
Yeah.
And again, yeah, I do think that those chains factor in some kind of like loss, numbers to that. Cause it's like people, even on accident, are going to push in, the wrong kind of thing. Maybe you pushed regular version instead of organic and saved a couple of dollars because you couldn't find the organic button. I will not say I've done that. I've seen that happen. Blink, blink.
Listen, man. Listen. I'm not going to incriminate myself. I probably already did. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Look, everybody, I can guarantee you, bruh, there's probably everybody that has accidentally done it. They probably didn't mean to, but they definitely probably have accidentally done it. I don't know anybody that hasn't gone to self-checkout and left a carton, like one of those the cases of water at the bottom of the cart and forgot that the case of water was there and just walked out the grocery store and was like, oh, snap, this case of water is here. We're going home. You know what I mean? Nobody's turning around and being like, oh, let me go give this back. Let me go get this back. Even the most upstanding citizen, Million, wouldn't do that, brother.
Doesn't it beep, though, once you try and leave?
The water?
No, the water don't beep.
No,
man.
That's how you know I haven't tried to steal
that's
before.
Okay. And now there's a lot of people out there, and I know a few that have taken the barcodes off and will scan like a larger item.
That's crazy.
Now I do know that's
crazy.
That's on another level of like doing bad stuff. Yeah.
No, I don't do it. I really don't, because I always feel like I'm gonna be the one that gets caught. That's how they get, because they got the cameras right there. I'm like, they are going to catch me, and then I'm gonna be a headline, former anchor of whatever steals like a chocolate bar, and it's like, girl, you didn't have $2 for this. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
So just that alone, I don't do that. But
it's all good.
Times is hard.
Times is hard. Man.
Really judging Rondell. He's a professional at self-checkout. We judging, he says.
It's all right. You can judge. You probably do it too, Famous Mo. It's all good.
9 million people in New York, and there's nobody on cash register at Walmart. Make it make sense.
Thank you.
Like you said, they're asking people to steal at some point.
Bruh.
People aren't at Walmart because they just have like all the money in the world. We go to Walmart because we need something. We need a little rollback or something.
Exactly, bro. And why y'all getting rid of? I don't understand getting rid of the. I never understood why people got rid of the cash register. Because to be totally honest with you, self checkout is the worst, bro. Because you have people that go through self checkout that don't know how to use self-checkout, bruh. And that is the worst when you stand in that line and you're waiting and you got this old lady shout out to the old ladies, but you got this old lady standing here and she don't know how to punch in her avocado, or she don't know, bruh, it's time consuming. Put people back in cashiers, bruh. Get some more cashiers.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we have a fun Friday story for you. Did you know that there is a mushroom that apparently makes you see little people? This is a real story. It sounds fake. The mushroom is called Lanmawa asiatica. Yes, it is an edible mushroom that causes highly specific hallucinations of tiny human-like figures, and it only happens if it's not thoroughly cooked. And I actually did pull up an article. This is a real thing. It's documented in the National Institute of Health, because after I saw this story, I was like, wait a minute, is this real? That's one of the studies that they were talking about this on. But I had pulled up another article about this because they were saying that it is actually a popular seasonal food in certain countries. It's specifically sold in markets and restaurants between June and August, and it's valued for its umami flavor. And basically, if you go to one of these restaurants, at least if you believe what one person is reporting, this is a researcher. It's a doctoral candidate in biology at the University of Utah and the National History Museum of Utah. He said he sat down at a restaurant, at a hot pot restaurant, and the server set a timer for 15 minutes and said, do not eat this until the timer goes off, or you might see little people. And it's a whole thing.
Dang.
That's what it looks like. And apparently, the active compound is not psilocybin, which is what gives people, the kind of like visuals and stuff like that when you do other kind of shrooms. It does not match any known psychedelic, and the effects last a long time. They set in to effect after 12 to 24 hours. Could last one day, could last 3 days, could last a whole week.
What? You could be
seeing little people.
Seeing little people for weeks. Sounds like my kind of drug. I'm not gonna lie. Sounds like my
I like
kind.
mushrooms without little people.
y'all remember the drinking game where you got to take the little person off the cup before you drink? This is the exact.
They're there. If you take a certain mushroom, they're there.
They're actually there.
Yeah, reports they're climbing up the walls and doing all types of crazy things, but it sounds like it's fake, but it's like real. The more you know.
The more you know, for sure.
Pretty crazy. Okay, we have so much more coming at you. We're going to take a quick break and talk about some Atlanta stories.